The 11th Gen Civic Type R is here. Is it hot? Is it not? Let's talk about it. So the 11th Gen Civic Type R has finally been revealed, and it's exactly what we thought it was. It was the hatchback 4-door, 5-door hatchback with widened fenders and wheels, solid colors, red seats, red carpet this time, which is sweet. Pretty much the same engine, which may just have a new tune or some adjustments to probably give it a little bit of horsepower bump. But essentially, it's the same as the FK8 in general, but with the issues that everybody seemed to have fixed. The fake vents, everybody just really went ham about the fake vents, and they really tried to like tone the whole thing down. And that's my biggest problem with it, is that it seems like it's honestly lost a bit of its character. It definitely looks good as the 11th Gen flagship, if that makes any sense. It's the best looking out of all the 11th Gen Civics, but you know, there's not many left. There's just the 4-door and the hatchback. And then of course you take the hatchback and just make it a little bit wider. I mean, you could really take the wing off and it would look amazing, but the styling cues are just a bit too generic. And it reminds me a lot of the 7th Gen Civic. The 7th Gen Civic is the worst of all the Civics ever made, least desirable, because it was when Honda tried to, I guess, save some money. I don't know. But it was also a Civic that got released and at the same time as when the Ford Focus was released back in 2001, 2002, and it just looked so generic. When the SI came out, it shocked people and it did not sell well, which is really weird. And why did it not sell well? Because we saw the Type R that Europe got and people were pissed. So the next best option was the RSX Type S, blah, 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 blah. Honda has had sort of a mishandling of its sports cars and the markets that they're in over the last 20 years. The RSX and the EP3 actually fell victim to its McPherson suspension design, and so a lot of companies actually abandoned suspension designs, and because it didn't really improve the vehicles hardly at all. The other thing that about the 7th Gen Civic is that, again, it is a very generic, stylized vehicle that these days nobody really takes the time to do anything with them. Even though you can K-swap them, there's just something about them that they were so unreliable and so unwanted that they just have fallen off of the planet practically, as far as, you know, where they're placed in the Honda pecking order. Obviously the EK was such a beloved and beautiful, aesthetically pleasing design that I remember when people thought they were too aggressive, and that was one of the reasons why the hatchbacks, they didn't make an SI out of the hatchback, because it was too aggressive looking, that they put it in the coupe. And the EM1 is regarded as, you know, a lot of people's favorite car when it came out. There is one thing about the 7th Gen Civics that really kind of hit a chord, was the EP3. Even though it was kind of hated in a lot of ways and it was different in a lot of ways, at least Honda was taking a chance with it. It was something different. It had the shifter in the dash. It was still a great platform, and if you've ever driven an EP3, they're amazing to drive. I actually really love them and still want one to this day, and still haven't come across an opportunity where I could get a hold of an EP3. The thing that I kind of feel about the new Type R is that it's very 7th Gen reminiscent, and I'm kind of upset that Honda did not take the opportunity that they could have taken the Type R and made it something special. Maybe a 2-door hatchback, or, you know, 3-door hatchback. Why didn't they make something special? This could very well be the last gasoline powered Type R, you know, with the electric push and everything else going on. I just don't understand why it's basically such a toned down, watered down version of the FK8. As far as the 11th Gen Civic goes, a lot of the people that have been criticizing it are just like, they're trying to oversell me something that they're saying they like, but it's almost like they're being paid to say that they like it. Of course, I would love to drive the 11th Gen, and I'm sure it's going to be a great car to drive, but it also seems like it's now so big and so refined that it will be somewhat numb to drive. Sure, it'll be faster in some ways, but does that mean it's fun to drive? I mean, that's why I think so many people are still so attached to the Hondas of the 90s. It's not so much that they're not fast. It's the fact that they feel like a car. You feel excited when you're in one. You feel the vibrations, the shifting. You know, it's all so just a little bit stupid, honestly. The 11th gen looks great, actually. In a lot of ways, I think it looks phenomenal. But at the same time, it was everything that we expected that it was. You take the Civic, and then you do the normal Type R thing. You put widened wheels on it, widened fenders, make it more aggressive with a lip, wing, red seats, cluster with a yellow needle, and you've got the Type R program. I think if you did that to the HR-V, the CR-V, the Odyssey, they would all look amazing if they just gave it that treatment. My biggest complaint about what Honda has been doing is the fact that they've now gotten rid of the Fit, and there's no replacement for the Fit, and I really hope they do come up with something, because now the Type R is going to be, I'm sure, upwards of $40,000. And with the way that the market is, it's really wild right now. Will this make FK8 go up in value? That's the real question. I do think that this car will sell no matter what, because it's a Type R, and the proof is that Type Rs do hold their value. And so no matter what, they're producing them. And what is actually really amazing is that Japan is going to be producing them. That's going to put a little bit of the, special sauce on them, I guess, because now they're made in Japan, and that's a good reason to have them. The white Type Rs, I would love to have one with a set of Spoon SW388s or whatever, with the black Rega Masters, whatever you want to call it, will just look phenomenal. Of course, it always looks good. However, my biggest complaint with this styling is that they've lost that wedge shape, that Japanese wedge, angular, aggressive styling that makes it look Japanese. It's the belt line is straight across, making it look more like an Accord and making it look more German. Not to say that, German cars are awful or anything like that. It's just that it's not Honda. There's so many styling cues that seem to be taken from somewhere else. I'm just really lost as to what exactly Honda is doing. One of the things it seems like is that Honda has probably lost so much money over the last few years on warranties, airbags, a lot of, things that have come and gone over the last few years. And they seem like, we've got to make a Type R that sells. We really need a Type R that sells. It's like no one at Honda is actually out in the real world, which is kind of funny. So yeah, I'm really curious as to what Honda has been doing. It's like there's no one out in the real world. It's like the only people at Honda designing these cars are literally listening to the people that are reviewing them, which are just average journalists and YouTubers that are like, yeah, I like it. It's just strange, because compared to what Toyota is doing, I don't understand why Honda is making its choices. Honda has always been a conservative company as far as what choices they make, but this was the opportunity to finally go all out and go wild. Just really go for it. Just their claim of like, we're building the fastest front-wheel drive car. Like, make a Type R, which is exciting, which is something that scares the shit out of you, whether it's adding all-wheel drive or not, making the engine actually rev high or something. Just the power numbers don't really matter anymore. And of course, yes, we got to have at least 320 horsepower. And I'm sure the car will handle well, drive around a track pretty damn well. I'm sure it will. But the question is, will it feel numb? Will it feel characterless? Will it feel like, just another computer? And that's the thing about the older cars like the Integra Type R, from the 90s, and the Civic Type Rs. The reason why those cars are just shooting up in value is because even though they're slow, they give you something that the new cars cannot. Now, of course, I understand part of the reasons for that are safety regulations as far as accidents, windshield angles, all that type of stuff. But again, the fact that they axed the coupe and then they didn't give us a coupe or 3-door with the Integra, I really feel that the Type R was a missed opportunity. Of course, fix the fake vents. Sure. Honestly think this time the 11th gen Civic Type R should have been a standalone chassis. Personally, that's my personal feeling. I think Honda sort of missed the mark about it. However, again, I think that this Type R will do really well for a number of reasons, but at the same time, in the long run, I just feel that the 11th gen Civic is missing a lot, in my personal opinion. And I really hope that they do bring something back like a Fit, something small, something light, that it's not necessarily fast, but something that you can have a lot of fun in. And to be honest with you, who cares about an HRV? Obviously, not many people. The other bothersome factor with the 11th gen is not only, okay, you want the Type R, great. Well, not everybody can afford a Type R because they are so expensive, but the next model down is still one of the most expensive models to get. That's a 6-speed. For example, with the new 11th gen, you can't get the 6-speed with a turbo 1.5 for very cheap. You have to get the touring model. With that being said, it's just, I'm not sure. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that this is the best Type R ever made? It's almost like the 10th gen was so aggressive and so beautiful and boy racer and dangerous and fun that they just they swung the pendulum in the complete opposite direction when they should have gone more in the middle. Yeah, people didn't like the fake vents, but so fucking what? The vents were cool. Like the car, when you see a FK8 driving down the road, it's an FK8. That's my biggest fear with the 11th gen, is that it just sort of blends in. When I see the new Civics on the road, you almost don't know. The only way that I know a new Civic is on the road is when I see it in boost blue. That's it. I'm like, oh, that's the new Civic. But when I see them in black, silver, or white, I'm like, oh, that's not just a Kia or a Volkswagen or something like that. It's not a Jetta. I'm not sure. Would I buy one? I don't know. I might. But that all depends on how the thing feels. I am kind of happy that they've gone from 20-inch wheels to 19-inch wheels. It's just the lineage of the Civic kind of hit this pinnacle in the 6th generation aesthetically with the EK models. And then the 7th gen came along and just took a dive. It was so generic, and by all accounts, when the 7th gen came out, it was like, okay, this looks good, it's not bad. Over time, it just really showed how generic and not great it was, to be honest with you. And even the EP3 came out, and because it was so shockingly different, it didn't sell super well, but the people that did buy it absolutely loved it because it had a character. Same thing with the Honda Element. People that buy the Honda Elements love the Honda Elements. It's something that has special character to it. And then match that with the fact that when the 8th gen Civic came out, it was an improvement all the way around, and they brought back the SI with the K20 engine, which again essentially killed the RSX because they took the motor out of it and sort of killed its market, but that's a whole other discussion in itself. But the 8th gen is now kind of praised as probably a return to form of a great damn Civic. My personal favorite Civic of all time is the Mugen RR. Thing is so gorgeous in red, and it is to me the most perfect Civic Type R ever freaking made. But then again, what happened was the 9th gen came along and they tried to dial it back or refine it some more, and it sort of backfired. I remember when the 2012 Civics came out and the SI's like, nobody bought them, nobody wanted them. They were like, this is too watered down. And then the 13, 14, and 15, like all the next body styles of fascia changes, they changed them drastically each year. So, on the 9th gen Civics, each year is different than the year before. So when they came out with the 10th gen was the celebration, and it really brought back of how great they were. As a matter of fact, Honda didn't even think they would sell many hatchbacks, and they sold so many hatchbacks that they were like, we don't even need the coupes anymore. But it just shows that Honda seems to be off of its own pulse lately, of they don't even know why they're popular or why or what would sell. And it's a damn shame that they don't talk to enthusiasts that really care about the brand, that really want to see the brand succeed. And I understand sales figures matter. They do. They definitely matter. You definitely want to sell a car. But how many people walked up to the new Civic and were like, oh no, it's too aggressive looking, I'm not buying it? Hardly nobody. So with that being said, I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think of the new Type R? Is it hot or not? Is it the best Type R ever made? Not good? Is it not the good direction? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.